The offshoot was the conference went on, people, anchors, and were on Twitter. The world didn't end. And that's now one success story that we can build upon going forward. So yes, you need buy-in from the top. If the people at the very top are against what you're trying to do, you seriously, if you're someone like me who's really social media more than PR or marketing, don't hold it against me. You really have to consider whether it's the place for you to be, because you need that support, and without it, you're lost. But if there's enough support in the company for doing it in a controlled manner, for creating training programs, I have a training deck. You know, my first thing on the Twitter deck is Biz Stone and Ed Williams and Jack Dorsey getting together and so on. If you can go step by step and show people that it is successful, and also draw upon the success of others. And one other thing, which is actually pretty important, you can draw upon the success of your competitors. Because one thing that business executives, whether they know social media or not, but what they're in tune to is what the competition is doing. And sometimes the answer is as simple as, we need to be in this space because so-and-so is in it and so-and-so else is in it. And if we're not in it, how can we say that we're one of the leading companies, we're on the leading edge? And so while that's a bit of a specious argument, it actually does resonate with some people who haven't taken the time to understand the benefits of social media.
Ron, from CBRE. We know that CBRE has a great entrepreneurial culture. You have thousands of agents around the world who sort of like to take the reins, and sort of drive their own destinies. Please tell us that CBRE and that model is the exemplary of embracing social media, no fears, taking charge of it, and using it to its fullest max with no politics.
My hope is a year from now that's where we are. We're actually kind of coming at it from a deficit position. A year ago this time, not only did we not embrace social and promote social, we prohibited social. There were some early bad experiences with blogging where our professionals had gone off and created their own blogs, and had not done it in a very smart way, and had compromised some relationships with clients. And so legal's attitude was, okay, we're going to shut it down. And we had a policy. So no blogging, no social media. They actually amended it and specifically added Twitter. And so our early attempts to try to introduce it were really shut down quickly because legal kind of held the keys and didn't see the reason to change the policy. And it really took two things, and it was kind of a combination of what Doug said and John said. It took fear. We went out and we showed them, okay, you've got this great policy. Well, what that's led to is you go to Facebook and look up C.B. Richard Ellis, and you find a group of professionals in France who have created a C.B. Richard Ellis Facebook presence and are now using it to post pictures of their Christmas party and of going out and having a good time with their clients, which was not necessarily the only face we wanted for CB online. And then I think what it really ended up taking to put it over the top for us to start changing the direction actually was at an event similar to this, with a board up similar to this, where one of our senior executives was presenting and sat down and looked up at the board and realized that there was an entire conversation going on about the topic she was talking on that she never would have known, and that she was able to make connections in that room with the people who were talking and having that conversation. And she came back and said, okay, why aren't we doing this every day? Why aren't our professionals out there engaging? And that's what it took to get legal to open up the door and let us to start changing policy.
Terrific. And for the folks in the back who are having a little bit of a hard time hearing, all the panels, we're going to speak up a little bit more and also speak into the microphones that are available at the tables so you guys can hear everything. So but just let us know. Although I cannot see the Twitter feed, so just pull on someone's jacket if you need it a little bit louder. Alison, is there something unique to professional services firms, to law firms, that makes the politics or the internal fears different? You know, what lessons can we give to folks in terms of how professional services firms, how their issues with using social media are different from others?
Sure. Well, you know, I think a lot of the, for me, the story around this is really about building personal relationships, and people buy anything, whether it's a consumer product or a professional service product, based on personal relationships. And that's really the story that I tell the lawyers, is that whether or not you'd like to use LinkedIn or use, you know, other kinds of tools to kind of optimize your relationship or your exposure, it's really about bringing some awareness to who you are, beyond kind of a cold call or could you have somebody from law school introduce me. When you build a profile online, as you all know, you begin to kind of, you know, build awareness, and there's a lot of information that you're able to point people to. And as I mentioned in that article, I think that the real concern for the law firms is that, you know, they're representing clients in very, you know, classified matters that they don't want to share with anybody else. But I think there's enough information that's out there in terms of, you know, talking about changes or developments in regulations or policy or things that are happening in financial markets, if your firm is focused on that, that lawyers can, you know, truly be a thought leader on and kind of, you know, take a position on and speak about. And I think that's really sort of the message that I've been really kind of sharing with the people I talk to, is sort of more about around the personal branding story, and about, I think we're all in the same place here, is really about building relationships. And when you kind of see it from that standpoint and you take that position, all those things have to happen, you know, return on investment and, you know, privacy, all those things are really important. But if you can kind of keep it, from my perspective, kind of back to the core of what this is all about, is the community experience and deepening those relationships, I think that, you know, hopefully could sell it.
Now, Alison, you brought up one of the real landmines that companies find themselves about to step on, which is the issue of the personal brands of their executives. Because in the social sphere, when you're trying to promote expertise, it's really about showing off the person who embodies that expertise, whether it's a consultant or an attorney or some other subject matter expert. It could be at a technology company. And Ron, I know that this is an issue that you've run into quite a bit in terms of deciding, does the company's brand matter more? Does the executive or salesperson's brand matter more? Is it possible to have the company's brand keep the same amount of value if you have to raise the value of the executive's brand? Which is more important? So I'd love your insights in terms of how do you answer that question?
It's a question we answer not only around social. For us, it's a question we answer everywhere. If you ask our clients, what does CBRE mean to you? 90% of them are going to talk about the people who they deal with on a daily basis. Our CEO loves to say that, you know, all of our assets walk out the door at 5 o'clock every day. And it's true. I mean, we're a company that's based on those relationships. You know, when it comes to social, we've really taken the approach of trying to educate our folks about how this is an extension of what you're doing already. You know, I really have to use a lot of metaphors of, okay, should you be friends with your client on Facebook? Well, I don't know if you should, but is this somebody who you have that personal relationship with? Maybe you do want to extend it in that way. You know, how do you engage in this new social space with people you have long-standing relationships with? Really will vary. So for us, it's been that education process and getting people comfortable with the tools that help with that interaction.
Jonathan, I know that this is an issue that you struggled with as well.
Yeah, it's not only one I struggle with. There's no topic I'm more passionate about than personal branding, and I unabashedly believe that the era of the importance of corporate branding is falling off a cliff, and that personal branding is coming up that cliff.